I became obsessed with you last year and your music last year. And quickly became like one of my, even on Spotify, like one of my top streamed artists. Like it was
Oh
wild.
my God, love
I'm
that.
obsessed with your music now.
Thank
So
you.
first I want to talk about Love's Not Dying because I love that album so much. Um, let's see. Okay, I wrote this whole thing down. So when Not Your Friend came out, I love the vibe of that music video. And then I looked up your music, and then the album was just about to come out, I think, when I found you. And oh, the Lake House especially hit me because I was going through a thing with an ex that was kind of toxic, and
Hmm.
they invited me to go to this lake house on my birthday. And I said
Whoa.
yes, yeah, and then it turned into this whole like shit show, honestly. And
Oh my
I was
God.
on the way back, I was listening to that song and I was like, damn, that's exactly what he's talking about.
Oh my God. That's odd. That's eerie.
Yeah. So I guess when you write these supremely like specific lyrics like that, do you expect people to relate to them so deeply?
I don't when I'm writing them. I'm definitely very much thinking about my experiences, but I often think about if you can think of somebody doing something, it's probably been done somewhere at some time. You
Yeah.
know, I'm just a big believer in that philosophy. As long as it's not like a really crazy thing, like an ex inviting, like being in a toxic relationship with somebody and the relationship is starting to go south, but there's this trip coming up. Like I think even though that's specific, the lake house thing is super specific, but like having a trip coming up, I think like almost everyone has been through something like that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so it's weird to moments like that where I mean I've been in the other situation where you're listening to a song and it's like somebody's writing about my life. This is a trip, you know?
Yeah. Is it like weird because your lyrics and songwriting style is very like intimate. Is that like scary to put out into the world? Because yeah, you're telling such personal stories.
Honestly, no.
Mm,
For whatever reason, that's the easy part.
mm,
Like, I think the hard part is like getting to that place with myself and being able to vocalize these things to myself. But once I've sort of put them in a song, and if I like the song a certain amount, then I'm not at all worried or scared about putting um, those words and those thoughts out there
mm,
because I guess because I know people will connect with it and it's no one's gonna like judge me
mm.
for feeling the way that I feel and putting it into a song if it's not a shitty song.
Yeah, it's nice to hear because it's also I think that like a lot of times from men especially, you don't really get there tends to be like a like it's a different kind of it's nice to hear men being very intimate and vulnerable in songwriting. And I think that's like more rare than I would like it to be.
Yeah, but then you have sort of the sad boy
Yeah,
aesthetic,
yes.
which sort of like commodifies that, like the not so rare, the rare like opening up of men and music,
Yeah.
and then it becomes cliche, and that makes people want to not do it even more. So yeah, I think it is important. The biggest thing, and I've been picking this up like outside of music, is just emotional maturity and emotional intelligence in men is super rare.
Mm,
Like, I don't know. I've been the on the receiving end of like conversations with friends talking about guys, and I just feel like men are trash all around. And I say that as if I'm an exception. I like to think I am because I feel like I'm emotionally mature
yeah,
than most men my age, but yeah, I think men are trash.
I say the exact same thing. So I get you completely.
Mhm.
You obviously didn't plan to release the album during the pandemic, but that's kind of just like how the cookie crumbled. How do you feel about how that played out now, like over a year out from it?
Um, it was definitely weird while it was happening. Like we had all of these plans for in-person events, and obviously I had a world tour coming up right after that. But I guess looking back, it worked out fine. Like it. it just took the whole in-person aspect out of the release and everything afterwards. Like, so much of this exists on the internet anyways, so it didn't feel that different. But with this album, I'm realizing how different it actually is. Like, I could throw a release party and I'm about to play a bunch of shows, and people are hanging out with their friends listening to the music. They're not just listening to it alone. So it was really different, but it also really wasn't. It was
Mhm.
weird, hard to categorize.
That's so interesting what you said. I just went on a trip to San Francisco and I was showing because I was like talking about this interview and I was showing them some of the music and it was weird because it was like I feel like very intimately involved with them now because I listened to this much during the pandemic and through a
Mhm.
breakup. And then now it's like, oh, I have to explain why I love this song so much to this person. Because I didn't, it's interesting now that it's like, yeah, that idea of like sharing it with people and it is a different energy.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's see. Crusher kind of feels like a companion to the last album. Can you tell me about like your evolution between them? And I remember reading maybe in the press release you said something. Oh, I take back everything I said. I have in quotes from the last album. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, Love Is Not Dying was very much like a love letter to somebody who's like struggling a lot with addiction, um, and just mental illness. And I don't know. I think Love Is Not Dying had this perspective of a lot of sympathy and a lot of empathy. Frankly, like the album is really sad because I'm really feeling for this person, and there's a lot of understanding and there's a lot of forgiveness in there. And sort of what happened was I released the album, the pandemic happened, and I had a lot of time to reflect on the situation that I was in once I was out of it. Um, and I realized I was sort of being disillusioned, and um, I had been manipulated in that setting. And once I started talking to my friends about it, I realized how different the situation was than I was seeing it when I wrote Love Is Not Dying. And Crusher's sort of that realization of, whoa, this actually wasn't what I thought it was. This is somebody very flagrantly manipulating me and using me. And it really crushed me in the process. And that's sort of where the title comes from, um, the deliberate um, breaking down and destroying of something that's normally difficult to destroy, like rocks being crushed. That was sort of the overall album metaphor.
Mm, yeah, I love that. I get that too. That feeling of yeah, like after the talking to your friends about the relationship and they saw things a little bit differently than you saw it, and then you're like, yeah,
Yeah,
that
post
wasn't
relationship clarity, you can
yeah.
call it.
Ugh. Random question. Have you ever seen Treasure Planet, the Disney movie?
No, I haven't.
No? Okay. My friend wanted me to ask that. It's like a running joke that like there's this very specific gay person that was obsessed with Treasure Planet that really likes your music. And I don't know how it's connected. But I was like, maybe
Wow.
he's seen Treasure Planet. You should watch it. It's a great movie. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is the star. It's great.
Wow. Wait, is it a? You said it's Disney?
Yeah, it's Disney's animated from like 2001.
Young Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah,
What's it called? Treasure Planet.
Treasure Planet.
I'm gonna check it out.
It's so good.
This looks like a CD, like a PC game I used to play.
Maybe it was. It's kind of in the vein of like Atlantis and what was that other movie?
Hmm.
El Dorado. Kind of in that.
Right.
Genre.
Iron Giant.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Very cool. Check it out.
Okay, yes. Do you listen to sad music to feel better or worse?
Um, I mean, I don't listen to it with an intention of like I want to feel better, because I like feeling things. But when I
Mhm.
listen to sad music and I'm feeling sad, it makes me feel. I wouldn't say less sad. It makes me feel like more, like less alone, I
Yeah,
think. So it does make me feel better. I feel when I have like a connection with the song when I'm going through something difficult, um, it gives me like a lot more context and understanding, and yeah, I feel comforted.
Hmm.
There's like a lot of songs I can look back on where I like was in a very specific situation, and I can like remember where I was when I was listening to the song, and I had a realization like this song is talking about what I'm going through, and you have this moment with yourself. Yeah. I always try to explain whenever like one of those songs come on, I always try to explain it if I'm with someone, and I can never get them to understand like how important it is to me,
Yeah.
you know? Um, but yeah.
It is a weird thing. That's how I felt explaining like Lake House to my friends this last weekend. And I was like, yeah, it's um yeah, I think this is exactly it. Like for me at least too, it makes you feel less alone in what you're feeling. So I tend to have like the main character syndrome where I think no one's experienced this but me. And then yeah, and then you listen to someone else
Yeah.
thinking about it. It's like, oh, okay. And then you kind of, I don't know. It's yeah, you feel not as alone.
Hmm.
Um, who are your influences? Like who are your favorite musicians? Maybe top
Um,
three.
I mean, I used to say, you know, Eden was like a really big early influence for me. Um, Bon Iver was a really big early influence for me, but I don't really like to cite anyone anymore because I listen to so many different things, and I feel like I'm past the point of influences, at least right now. Like, I don't know, I'm listening to like a lot of very different genres, and that's sort of what's influencing me.
Yeah.
Like a lot of sort of really grungy post punk, like early 2000s stuff, and then also like the Pixies, and yeah, all sort like early 2000s R&B I'm really getting into, and just like early 2000s pop as well. I think a lot of that stuff sort of influenced the album because rock music was mainstream, which
Mhm.
is sort of where we're like going back towards, I think.
Yeah, that was kind of my next question. I think like pop punk, especially, is kind of coming back when you think about like Olivia Rodrigo and like the Billie Eilish song that's blowing up right now. And I kind of feel like your music fits in that wave as well. How do you, yeah, how do you feel about kind of like this pop punk era, like slowly coming back into the mainstream all these, what, 15 years later?
I think it's really awesome. I mean, it's what I grew up on. I think
Yeah,
that's why it's getting really popular because it's a lot of nostalgia for a lot of people.
yeah,
But for me, I first started to hear about like pop punk coming back like 5 or 6 years ago, and it was in the context, very much in the context of hip hop.
yeah,
Um, it was like this fusion of Blink 182 with like trap drums,
yeah,
and I didn't always like that sect of it because it just felt lazy, you know. It felt like you were just putting different drums over a pop punk song with like shitty modern writing.
yeah,
Um, but I think it's much more like nuanced and informed now.
yeah,
Especially like the Olivia Rodrigo stuff is um, they nailed the attitude too. It's not just like the sonics. It was the attitude of that pop punk early 2000s era. I definitely drew a bit from it, but I didn't want to make a pop punk album. I didn't want to just be like, this is what I'm doing, because that would just box me in too much, I think.
yeah. I think you do like play with genre a lot and like dip in and out of things. That's what makes it so fun. That's makes it so cool to listen to.
Hmm.
Um, how you haven't your tour hasn't started yet, has it? Or are you about to start the tour?
Um, I leave in like 3 weeks or two
Okay,
weeks or
soon.
something.
How do you feel about it? Are you nervous? Also, are you doing like Crusher and Love Is Not Dying for the fans? Okay, I had
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I haven't performed "Love Is Not Dying"
Yeah.
either. So
Mhm. How do you feel about
so
getting back on the road?
I'm super excited. I even before the pandemic, I felt like I missed out a lot on touring. The
Mhm.
way my schedule had always worked out, I just wasn't on the road as much as I wanted to be. Um, and I feel like I'm definitely making up for lost time now. And yeah, I'm like putting in all of the work now, like making up for a ton of lost time, and hoping that you know we can keep it safe for everyone, and
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, the new reality. um, but I'm super excited to see you on tour. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
yeah. Thank you, Taylor. Talk soon.
Yeah, bye.
Yeah.